Yeah, yeah.
It's fine.
Okay.
They make shoes that big.
I'm going to bang my knock on this table. Hello, everyone. Happy holidays. It's good to see everybody. A few housekeeping things here at the beginning of the meeting. Dallas, Doug, and Wayne and David are not joining, cannot and/or aren't joining us this evening. And Michelle has joined us via Zoom. Hi, Michelle. So we have a quorum. We're all good. And with that, we'll get this meeting officially called to order and everything. And I will call for an approval of tonight's rather short agenda. Oh, was that Tony? Thank you very much. Thank you. Was that Blair? Phil, whichever. Thank you. Changes to the agenda or anything? Comments? All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Michelle, you can just raise your hand or we'll assume that you're an aye unless we hear otherwise. We're good.
Aye.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
And now next we have the approval of the minutes from our November the 4th meeting. Can I have a motion, please? That was Tony. Thank you. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Sharon. Any changes or modifications to the minutes? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, thanks. That's unanimous. So next up on the agenda is review the presentation of our draft and of our final scorecard. So for the committee's purposes and for the public record and anybody from the public who may be watching or what have you, we believe this may be our final meeting as a group where we're considering any recommendations that we might forward to the county council. Again, we are prepared to present to the county council on December the 21st. That's a 10 a.m. meeting, just for everybody's purposes, giving you plenty of heads up. And we'll be in touch between now and then, of course. So what we did is, as promised at our last meeting in November, I took a stab at a first draft of our work, including, of course, background. We kind of labeled it process. Then we went into context, providing some context of where we are in 2021. We then talked about a section called for consideration. These are things that we as a group have discussed. We think perhaps need to be addressed, but we didn't think that they were addressable necessarily by this committee. And then we did with some thanks and gratitude. This draft I then sent to Bob Benson, who tonight is sitting to my right and has me completely freaked out because he's always right here. But because Michelle's on Zoom, that's why Bob's over here to my right. And I want to say that for the record, the draft that I sent to Bob, when it was returned to me, I would say it was at least 67.3% better than when it was when I sent to him. But Bob, truly, thank you so much. It is not the first time that we've had the opportunity to take advantage of what you do for a living. And truly, Bob kept the general points of the draft the same. But when I tell you he made it a much better draft, I do not say that in any way and with any exaggeration at all. So before us tonight is this draft review. Also, to add and to give a thanks, Julie, late this afternoon, ran our draft. Would you run it through, Julie?
I imported the PDF into the Word document and did the grammar check,
Okay.
clarification,
Thank you.
et cetera, and made edits.
Yes, thank you. So we've had, if you will, an additional edit, but for the purposes of tonight, since you may not have gotten Julie's draft, just let's use the draft that was brought forward. And then, again, I read over them, and there were a few and so thank you for doing that. And then, of course, we have our scorecard, which is our recommended 24 items that we are going to be putting forward to the county council for their consideration, right? In theory, our work and our recommendations would come to an end this evening, though, of course, we may be called upon or may not be called upon by the county council as they then begin to consider and ask questions about our work. So with that, I think I will start with, are there any thoughts, changes, additions? Did we miss anything? Is the committee, this draft is what we want to talk about tonight, and what we want to talk about first. Assuming everybody had a chance to look over it, and again, with Julie's grammatical late afternoon check done, thank you. Where's the committee on the draft? Tony?
I thought this was really well written.
Okay,
When I read it, the flow was good,
okay,
and I thought it picked up also. I want to thank both of you because the flow was good, the comments were good. It isn't too long-winded, so somebody wouldn't be bored to tears having to sit down
Sure.
with a 20-page document. So I thought it was really well done, and a very good summary of what we've done.
okay. Thank you very much, Tony. Also want to give, as always, a shout out to Laura. When I before I began writing the draft, I said, Laura, this doesn't really need to be too long, does it? She goes, absolutely not. So I took her cue, and as always, she was correct. And so thank you, Tony. Other thoughts or comments? Yes, sir, Bob.
Since Mr. Sarbanes was the first one to speak, Mr. Sarbanes, we put a footnote in, and you're the only member whose name actually appears in the body. And we put that footnote in because, well, in part at least, because there's been some comment about why the charter committee didn't address certain things, and specifically county executive versus county council. And I think it was my perception, and I think Mike's perception, that in that first meeting that you made a statement. And I thought that statement was kind of, I thought the Charter Review Committee kind of adopted your thought process as to why it didn't move forward on that and some other things, that our job was to address the charter as it was, not necessarily as we wish it was. And I thought it was important, and I think Mike thought it was important to
Absolutely.
probably put an explanation in there as to why we did what we did.
Yeah.
But since your name's in here, I want to make sure you're comfortable with the way that footnote's written and that it accurately reflects what you think you said at that meeting.
Yeah, when I read it, I was surprised. Really, I'm kind of honored that you stuck. But it summarizes, and what you just said, that wasn't what we were charged to look at. We were charged to look at the charter, not executive form of government, even though there's been some vocal comments about it.
Sure.
I have feelings about both those items, but it's not in the governing body. It's like looking at the U.S. Constitution, certain things in there, certain things shouldn't be in there.
Sure.
And I think those are two items. We could talk all day about them.
Sure, of course we could. Of course we could, yeah.
Yeah, but,
So you're okay with that?
Fine.
All right, great.
and thank you.
I just wanted to make sure you were comfortable with it, because we put your name in there, and I didn't want it to be
Yeah.
something you didn't agree with.
No, I'm fine.
Great. Still looking around. Yes, Sonia.
I just had a question. It's very well written. I'm coming from the business aspect, and it isn't long, so this probably isn't necessary. But you know how you have like an executive summary for those that aren't going to read the whole document? Is that something that's needed here, or you can just say, you can go to for consideration, and it literally tells you what the recommendations are? That's kind of a question at this point. The only thing that I have is that.
Yeah, I'm going to give you my opinion, is that, again, because it's not very long, I don't necessarily think we need that executive summary. If this was 25 pages before we got to the 24 recommendations, I might say, yeah, but those are my thoughts. But that's, I'm certainly, Sonia, great suggestion as always. As a group, what does everybody think?
It was really a question. It's not
Okay.
that long, and you could really go to the scorecard and see it if
See
you're
it.
really that pressed on it.
Okay,
But it's
great.
a comment.
Thank you. Matt, yes?
I think I think what you said makes sense.
Absolutely.
But I think that we need to encourage people to read the whole thing.
So,
It's, as you say, it's not that long, and we should encourage the voters to read it and digest it and weigh in as they see fit.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Catherine?
This might be, overall, this is outstanding, and thank you so much for the work to put this together. There's no doubt about that. This is just something small. Looking at, I don't know if we're ready to go there yet, but under process, when we look at, according to the county council, looking at the
Time out.
alternates.
What paragraph are we on? So under process, one, two, it's the third paragraph. Thanks,
We
Catherine.
use the word outstanding twice in a row, and can we change possibly one of those words to consistent?
Of course we can. Where do we
And
say?
then we say
I see
outstanding in the
yeah.
fourth paragraph too, so it got, even though this is outstanding, I
No, hey, look,
use that a little bit too redundantly.
so I see the first outstanding in the third paragraph, where I see it. I see attendance was outstanding, overall attendance was, we've said the same thing within 12 words of
So
one another.
maybe was consistent for the first time, in the second that it's outstanding.
Attendance was consistent. That, absolutely. Thank you for that.
Then we use outstanding again in the fourth paragraph, but at least we've got two sentences in between.
Hold on, where's the other word?
It's
Outstanding.
in the fourth.
Come on now, that's why we're here to,
Okay.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Laura Hurley and her team did an outstanding job, and they did, but maybe we
did a
want
professional job.
been a glowing.
We're going to change the fourth outstanding to did a professional job. Thank you. Obviously, I was in an outstanding mood the day I wrote the first draft, and Bob was also in an outstanding mood when he was editing the first draft. Thank you. We can make those changes.
And there was one other piece, and it's more about what we covered.
Okay?
And please forgive me, I'm finding it because I just
Yep.
changed.
All good?
It would be under for consideration.
All right.
It would be the end of the first paragraph.
Okay.
And I do appreciate that we did discuss having 5 councilmanic districts and 2 at large, if that is still appropriate. And I'm just going to throw it out there again, with consideration of the possibility of developing 2 minority districts. I don't know, that was just me, but that was it. Other than that, I think it's outstanding. You know,
You're
that
funny.
goes
You're
right
funny.
back to day one. I came in on my own agenda.
That's funny. I think that for us to,
Consideration.
I think, and I'm, again, just weighing in with my thought, and the whole committee is very aware of your outstanding, consistent commitment to this. If we just leave it as it is from 5 councilmanic districts and 2 at-large members, we're asking if that's still appropriate. I think in saying is still appropriate, should anybody take this up, this idea of ours, it would seem to me that any analysis of how that is laid out would, by default, lead into the question of minority districts and representation. For us to make a literal representation that declares additional minority districts, I think I'd be more comfortable if we left it as is. And then, again, if another group takes it up, I don't know how they could have that discussion without a discussion of the entire layout of the 5 districts, which includes, of course, the 1 minority district. So that's just my thoughts.
So the way that this reads is that there were, it says for consideration, there are these items, just as Tony said, that are often discussed that were not part of this kind of our charter review. And one of them is the revenue cap.
Yes.
One of them is the way that we elect council members from, and the 5 districts and the 2 at-large. That's how it's reading right now, that we talked about it, but we chose not to,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
okay.
Tony?
I reacted the same way to the 2 at large. because I have a very strong feeling that they should. Why? If my neighbor came to me and I was a district, and he and I didn't get along, I just put him aside. I had people come to me when I was at large, I'm sure Phil did, where they knew us, or they had more faith in us, or who knows what, but they would say, can you help me out, because I'm not getting help any other place.
Right,
And the at-large person represents everybody.
right.
And that means I could, although I lived in Salisbury, I could go to Bivalve, Pittsville, Willard, wherever it might be, help somebody, whereas that can happen in a district. And so that's why I
So-
really
Again, that's one of the reasons.
left it to them to look at.
That's why we're not, that's all we're doing is saying this was something that had some, more than moderate amount of discussion, but our recommendation, should anyone want to form again, notwithstanding the work of the redistricting commission. Yeah. Michelle, I just want to check in with you on Zoom. I'm trying to look at you. If you need anything or any comment, just unmute yourself and we'll do our best, okay? I'm trying to keep an eye on you too.
Okay, no, I hear you, and I just unmuted for a moment.
Yep.
One thing that I want to bring up, it's not pertinent to what we're going through, but you do realize that the Wage and Benefit Commission will be going the same day as we are before the council.
Yeah, and.
We are,
Yeah, and
we're just planning to,
I'm sorry, Michelle, I interrupted you, excuse me.
we're just planning to present this, correct? There'll be no discussion of it that day?
I was going to bring that up later for the group because I think I've sort of changed my mind. And for the group, what Michelle is referencing, and I let Council President John Cannon know today that, hey, just like Michelle just did, the Compensation Review Committee is presenting its recommendations on the 21st as well. So I told Council President Cannon that you guys are going to have a busy day that day. And Michelle, I think since you brought it up, I will say to the group that, and Laura was very helpful at the last meeting, I was sort of adamant that we were just going to present it on the 21st and not make it available to the council prior to the 21st. I don't know why that's where my brain was. Somebody, perhaps Sharon, I think kind of correctly pointed out that never happens. So with the group's approval, if we approve this draft tonight and it gets cleaned up, et cetera, we would like to make it available to the council in advance of the 21st, whenever they normally would get their packet or what have you.
Yeah, I was going to say, the briefing books will go out next week.
Okay,
So
yeah.
next Tuesday.
So if that's okay with the group, yeah, it's okay with the group. Michelle, I'm looking at you, thumbs up on that.
Mike?
Yes.
Yeah, Mike, where I was coming from was either we put it in the packet and be at the meeting,
Yep.
or we do a separate meeting for this and let the Wage and Compensation Commission stand separately. That's all I was saying.
Okay. Maybe that's a question
saying.
Laura might be able to, you set the agenda with the council president. What are your thoughts off the,
My thoughts would be that both of the committees can do a presentation.
Okay.
The same day, and then council will have work sessions.
okay.
And then at that time, for the work sessions, you guys are welcome to come in
course.
as well, so.
Okay. All right.
It wouldn't be that day, it would be.
No, it would be a
wouldn't be that
different
day.
council meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Michelle. Sharon.
As a courtesy,
Certainly.
would it be in order for you to ask Memo Derricker to share what he is going to present to council? Because there are some things in the Compensation and Allowance Commission that mirrors some things in here. I wouldn't want us to be presenting two documents and, for
So you-
instance, the salaries of the executive, that we would be too far off.
So you want me to check in with Memo? Is
Well,
that-
not check in with him, but I'm suggesting.
Let him know also that we're,
I think if he lets you review, because this is the
got it.
charter,
Okay.
and what we have is just
Okay.
a recommendation for salary.
I'll check in with Memo and vice versa.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay,
I concur with Sharon on that. You should probably correlate with him.
great. Michelle, you're on both committees, are you not?
Yes.
Yeah, you are.
So is Sharon.
And so am I.
So Sharon, well, thank you all for all your double duties. Appreciate it. And thank you for that idea. I will make sure that happens. Other thoughts on where we are right now is on the draft. We're not on the scorecard. Any thoughts or change? Blair?
There's some small ones. I didn't know if, unless I missed it, is there anywhere in here we want to reference? I know we referenced that we have our meeting minutes are posted online, et cetera, but we are recorded by PAC 14. I didn't know if we wanted to reference that in there. I mean, it's one thing to read meeting minutes, it's one thing if they wanted to watch as we deliberated for additional context. I was
Yeah, we can do that. Add yep, I'm taking notes. Yep, thank you.
The other comment I had was, when we're thanking individuals, et cetera, do we want to, maybe I missed that too, but is there a section where we thank the public for their comments when they came in?
That's a great idea. Thank you very much. Yes. We thanked our elected officials, PAC 14, and Laura and Lynn and Paul. Add a thank you to the public. Thank you, Blair, for their public comments. Thank you. Great idea.
Mr. President.
I'm coming. Hang on, I'm coming. I'm just taking a note. Bear with me
All right.
for their participation. I'm getting there. Sharon, yes.
Teacher
Can I,
down here.
just
Yes.
one question on that, does PAC 14, like if anybody wanted to go to their website and say, I want to look at the third session, it's all available there? I never looked at it.
YouTube,
It's on YouTube.
Oh, is it? Oh,
It would
okay.
be eternally on YouTube. If somebody is that bored and wants to say charter review, meeting 3, it would be available.
Okay.
Yeah.
I went back and looked at a couple months.
And we own the royalties to these meetings, so this should produce about 11 cents in income. That's in total, divided by 15 people, so adjust your retirement accordingly. There was a question, Sharon, yes, thank you, Matt.
I just wanted to add, because I did receive a call today, and they wanted to know if we had considered an education for the county council members. And I shared with them that we had discussed that. We made no decision, no determination on that, because it is not required at other levels of government.
So, yeah, to that point, I recall the discussions we kind of tossed around, should there be minimum requirements to run for county council or county executive? And Sharon, I think you're right. I think we kind of landed on, it's a big world, and democracy is a interesting thing. So thanks for passing that along. Is the committee, we're still okay with kind of that? I know you've got to do that, kind of background when you fill out a job application, but I think running for office probably should be in there, but it isn't, and we kind of didn't, we sort of left it alone. We still okay with that? Okay, thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Part of the
Absolutely.
meeting, because I was asked.
Yep, thank you very much. If there are not many, Michelle, I'm looking at you, I'm looking at everybody, if we're ready to approve with these couple of changes, good changes, and the outstanding, getting rid of that word so many times. Yes, Julie.
The last bullet point,
Hold on, last bullet point. Bear with us all. Yes.
while we took no action about making a formal recommendation,
Right?
this is our last meeting, do we want to take action? So that we're not saying, well, while we took no action, we'd like you to think about it. Should we take action and ask them to think about it? 'Cause we don't have any more no action bullets on here.
So for those who may be watching, we're talking about the Charter Review Committee is appointed every 10 years, and there was some discussion that 10 years is too long a period of time, and this is what it literally says, we might recommend that a discussion be held about putting a Charter Review Committee together every 5 years instead of every 10. And I guess, Julie, your question is, do we want to make that a formal recommendation of the Charter Review
It
Committee.
seems a little subjective with
It
we might, we
coincides
didn't,
with
but
the
let's put it in.
census. and
I'm sorry.
redistricting.
Sonia, you first.
I understand that, so I was gonna ask, do other counties have it more frequently?
I do not know the answer to that. We did not workshop that. I don't know the answer to that.
Because I know it does coincide with redistricting
Yeah.
in the census, I guess.
Right.
But there's certain things, though, in my understanding, I was gonna talk to Laura about this separately, but I'll just bring it up now.
Yeah.
But, so for example, the two items that we specified for your consideration and those items, those are something that can be brought up to the council, or we can request a special, like the, I'll be specific, the councilman districts. Okay, so, if somebody wanted to talk about that before the next 2030 census, there's a way, I don't need to know about the details of the process, but there's a way that can be talked about between the 10 years, right? Okay, all right. So I am curious, though, I think Julie has a great point, but I am just curious, are we trying to do something different than other counties?
I don't know. Go ahead.
Mike, if I may
Michelle,
say
certainly.
something.
Yes?
I guess what I'd like to say is you realize they do this every 10 years, and you've gone through 2.5 election cycles between. And that's a long time not to look at the charter and look at things that could possibly go on referendum through charter. So I kind of agree, it's a very long time to go without going through our charter and looking at things that may need change or not need change.
Okay. Thank you, Michelle. Phil, yes, sir.
In each of those election cycles, the county council had the authority to put something on there if they wanted to.
And
They could also, halfway between the 10 years, they could also reconvene the current sitting charter review.
You mean us?
I hope not, but in other words, I don't think we need to remind them what their authority is.
Right.
They should know
Yeah.
that they have that authority.
Right.
They could ask a small group, they could ask the Greater Salisbury Commission.
Sure. Okay, Matt, and then Sonia, hold on.
Why don't we just take out the word might and make it, we recommend that a discussion be held? It's not saying that it's an absolute, but there ought to be a discussion at the council level as to whether it ought to be done every 5 years.
That's stronger.
But if we recommend, we need to vote on it that we recommend
Oh,
and put it
touche.
on the approved motions or whatever, I would believe.
Well, again, this is just while we took no action, remember, we didn't take any action. These are just recommendations that we're putting forward. If somebody wants to recommend, actually, before we do that, bear with me. Mr. Wilbur, are you aware off the top of your head, and there's no, if you're not aware, it's okay. Is the 10-year, is that standard across, do you know?
Yeah, I don't really know, haven't researched it.
No worries.
It's just like redistricting every
Exactly.
10 years.
Okay.
It seems like that's the cycle.
Okay, thank you. Sonia,
Okay, so I believe in the power of Google. So.
Google, what is Google?
Montgomery County is every 4 years. Anne Arundel is every 10. We're every 10. I don't know where Pinellas County is. That's Florida.
Florida?
Another place that I was just looking at here in Maryland is 8, every 8, so it's not necessarily standard. I'm just
Okay.
putting that out there.
So, we can either leave this as it is, a recommendation, or if somebody, like always, we're not done yet, if somebody wants to make a motion to make and add a 25th charter review, 25th charter change, this would be the time to do it. Okay, I don't hear a motion, so we're going to let it stand that how about, I do like we might recommend, let's get rid of the word might, and we recommend that a discussion, right?
Can do that.
Absolutely, okay. All right, great.
Thank you.
Good discussion. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to kind of do
Mike, another
Yes.
question. Once
Yes.
this is put out for public review, and the public looks at it, if you have enough people that bring up one issue or another issue, I don't know what the issue would be, but moral turpitude maybe.
Sure.
That they don't like that, or there's something that we have omitted that the general public feels we've omitted from, do we go back again on that subject, or are we done? How do we handle that?
Well, I'm going to try to answer the best. My gut says our work, that we are concluding our work, and our draft proposal that we're adopting tonight puts a formal end to the items that we are putting forward for consideration. Paul, I'm looking at you.
I agree with that. I
Okay.
think this committee puts its recommendations forward. Certainly, the county council can hear from the public with their ideas and their own ideas.
Sure, of course.
And the county council has made charter amendments,
Yep.
In the last 10 years.
Of course.
So I'd just conclude tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't going back to the drawing board again.
Noted. Yeah, we're definitely not going to do that. Thanks, Michelle. Okay, I'm going to do a going once, going twice, going three times. I think we should probably make a motion to adopt with changes that have been noted tonight, that this is, are you nodding that that would be an appropriate thing for us to do? I think I might ask for a motion that we adopt the draft copy with the changes that Julie has put forward that are, again, grammatical, et cetera, and the changes that we've outlined tonight. I'll entertain a motion for that. Tony, a motion, and Matt, a second. Discussion on the draft. Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving this as our final draft, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Congratulations, everybody. Great job. Now, that's the draft. It would seem to me, this is the scorecard, right? So now this was the narrative. So we've just approved the narrative that we're going to send forward. Now we're going to look at, or I guess I will ask for a motion that the changes that we have in front of us under the Charter Review Committee approved motions, that this is the recommendations that we will be making, the charter recommendations that we will be forwarding to the county council. Julie?
I have a question.
Certainly.
I see an inconsistency between 202A and 405. 202A references 25 years old, matching the language for the qualifications for the county executive.
And the other's 30. I saw
Right.
that.
So I don't have any, I don't know which one's right, but I think they should be the same.
Yeah, they both should be 30.
So I think we're sort of
But it
shortcutting.
says matching the language of the qualifications for county executive.
Or you can cut the matching part and it won't have to match. I just,
No, I'm with you. I hear you. That we should eliminate.
There's a difference for requirement for running for Congress, for Senate.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
President.
Yep.
It seems to me there's a difference between being county executive and being
Okay.
county council.
Okay.
Council, I agree with Bob.
I think Mr. Baker put forward the language when we were discussing 202. And he was making a comment that we wanted to do that. But I
Right.
think the committee later decided that it should be a 30-year age.
Okay.
So I think it's removing the matching
Okay.
language.
It actually, and I'm happened to be because of something that Sharon asked, and so there was actually a recommendation, Laura, or for everybody, that we actually suggested taking out the matching language. Did we actually end up doing that? Oh,
But I think that's what we're right?
right,
So-
but we were in the middle of a motion. I'm looking at her minutes. I'm looking at the minutes right now. And so there was that suggestion
Okay, so I guess we didn't act on it, and it sounds like there's at least a little bit of consensus to act on it now. So if somebody wants to make a motion to try and, thank you, Julie, clear up what appears to be a bit of confusion between I'm sorry, to make 202A and 405 better look the same. Somebody want to make a motion?
I would make a motion that 202A, the language in the scorecard, stop, that a period be put after the year 25 and all words, the words "and" matching.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob. Where was the second? I'm sorry. Thank you, Phil. Discussion. I think we've had some discussion, but are we good? Okay. Okay, then we'll call for the vote.
I have another one.
Yes, hold on.
We'll vote on
Let's
that.
vote on this one first.
Oh, okay, sorry. I
So
thought
let's
we were
vote
voting
on the motion on the floor, which has a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Michelle. Opposed? All right, that covers that's unanimously passed. Thank you for the suggestion, the wordsmithing, and the good discussion. Julie?
Sorry, I
No?
thought we were approving the whole thing.
No?
507A, I know we stumbled over this before, and it was like, oh yeah, that's what we meant. But I think maybe for the world, we might want to put another, where it says to put a period after executive in the second paragraph
Could potentially be worded differently to say,
and remove the remaining text. Or delete the remaining text. What happens, what we meant to stop the paragraph at executive, but it's assumed that we know that we wanted to eliminate the rest of the paragraph, but it's not in the,
I understand what you're saying, okay? So how would you say that out loud for us, Julie, what you just recommended? No worries.
so it states right now, to put a period after executive in the second paragraph. And my suggestion is to add, so it says second paragraph and remove remaining text. I'm not
And
sure, or whatever's consistent, delete remaining text.
I'm looking to my right at Bob, who's looking at this, and remove remaining text. Okay, that's a motion. Is there a second? And then we'll have discussion. Can I get a second to?
Second.
Thank you. Now let's have some discussion. Bob?
If I understand correctly, the language says the county attorney shall serve at the pleasure of the executive and the county council. The intention was that the language should read, the county attorney shall serve at the pleasure of the executive, period. And they removed "and the council." So
Oh.
the word should be removed. So assuming that's correct, then I would make a motion that I would take that to the question. So that would be the text of the amendment.
Might I ask Julie to withdraw your motion? And
Withdraw my
thank you. Bob, you want to offer, we're on the same page here. Bob, you want to offer a different motion,
I would-
please?
I would make a motion that we amend section, the
507A?
the scorecards.
Yes.
in Section 507A to state, to put a period after executive and to delete the words "and the council" from the remaining sentence.
Thank you. Hold on. The words "and the council"
Wipe everything else out.
from the remaining sentence. Hold on. Bear with me, everybody. Sorry. From the sentence. Thank you. That's a motion. Can I get a second, and then we can have some discussion?
Just clarity?
Clarity,
on the
of
motion,
course.
If that's possible.
Yes, it is.
Just looking at our notes, we have everything else wiped out in that.
Yes, it literally just.
Literally wiped out. The county attorney shall serve at the pleasure of the executive, period, and everything else after that.
So I
was
think
removed.
thank you. So what I think we're attempting to do, starting with Julie and working through Bob, is that we're acknowledging that a potential ballot question that simply reads, to put a period after executive in the second paragraph, is lacking context for any reasonable human being. So what could we do better, Paul, Bob, Laura, Julie, anybody, how can we, because to Sonia's point and Matt's point, we deleted the remainder of what's there.
Can't we just say and remove the balance of the paragraph?
Motion?
Time out. At the moment, we don't have a second to Bob's.
Mike, can I ask the
motion.
question? Why can't we just say, change that to read just just what's there? Change the text to read this instead of what's there. I mean, isn't there a way to go about doing it that way?
Thank you,
I
Michelle.
mean, I
Hold on.
agree.
Yep.
And what I would say is if this goes to the ballot,
Yes.
it's going to have just what is here and with the strike-throughs, okay? What you can send as a recommendation is explaining what you want to do, but the voter will see this is what comes out.
We don't have to write the ballot.
You don't have to write the ballot question.
Okay.
You understand, you and Laura will understand what we're doing, and we'll present it so that we don't look like knuckleheads, that we're recommending to put a period after executive.
I do think it's a good idea to extend it to say, and to strike the remaining text.
And
I
to
agree.
delete the words, again, back to Bob's. No?
Back to Julie's, because it's not just 3 words. It's the whole paragraph.
It's the whole paragraph.
It's okay, maybe I can restate
Yes, please.
my motion. The motion would be
Bob,
to-
pull your mic down, would you please?
Yeah, Bob, lower your mic. Thank you, Tony.
I would, do I need to press?
You do,
So I would amend my motion to amend the scorecard as to section 507A to read that the language will read, "The county attorney shall serve at the pleasure of the executive, period." And that any other language will be deleted.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Julie.
Remains.
Can we go into discussion?
Yes, of course we can. I did not write down what Bob just said, and I'm hoping somebody did, because I'd like to keep track of exactly what it is the motion is. Laura, you guys will be able to decipher what the exact language is that we just put forth in a motion when you do the minutes and prepare this? Okay.
Question?
Hold on. Catherine, Sharon, go
It's
ahead.
the same question.
Okay.
The next paragraph we keep, when we say we're going to delete the rest of the language, we're not taking that last paragraph out.
That's true.
Just in the first paragraph.
It's the second paragraph to
So we need
of
Matt.
507A.
Right.
So the
But
second paragraph would now simply read, "The county attorney shall serve at the pleasure of the executive, period."
and we strike the remaining
Part of the
text of
sec-
that,
Second paragraph.
of the second paragraph.
But we
But the
keep-
next,
we
we
keep
keep
the
the next
I'm
one.
changing anything.
Right.
Mr. Wilbur ceases to be a member of the Maryland Bar.
You never know who needs to know.
Never know.
You never,
So that was your question also?
Yeah, yeah.
Have a motion and a second on the floor. I think we've arrived at what we're attempting to accomplish with the appropriate language. That's why I just said what I said, that I didn't write it down. So if somebody can, I'm only one person, and I
It's
need,
we were proposing to amend the 507A, the second paragraph, to read, to put a period after executive in the second paragraph and remove the balance of the paragraph.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
all right? Clear as mud? All right, we'll call for a vote on that motion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Good addition, makes it stronger, makes us look less something by having put a period after the executive. Thank you for clarifying that.
We knew what we meant.
Yeah, we knew what we meant, but any other thoughts or changes or suggestions on the scorecard? Sonia?
It's not a change. When you modified this or put it through Wordsmith, it included the scorecard too?
And I've made a note of that.
Okay, because there are a couple of
Yeah,
spelling
Mr.
things.
Sarbanes, hopefully, if you can talk to me after the meeting to make sure I got the same ones.
Okay.
I found two
Yeah,
words.
he found two
Okay.
of them.
And there's a K left off of Michelle's name on one of them.
Assuming-
And
And an S in Strasburg that's missing in one of them.
And we'll throw as many set of eyes on this draft and on this scorecard as is possible, including word and including human eyes, to make sure that we have as close to a perfect document in terms of grammar and punctuation and all of that. I know it's not a perfect document. Okay. I'm going to do the going once, going twice, going a third time again. Now I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the scorecard, that our final product as amended to the county council as our final recommendations on the charter.
So moved.
Who was that?
Me.
Tony? Sharon? Sharon, and second from Tony?
Yeah.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Now we can formally and officially give ourselves a round of applause. Thank you.
Round of applause.
Listen, everybody, on the agenda now says closing remarks. They're not just my closing remarks. I have some, but I'd certainly welcome the opportunity here for any member of this committee to offer any remarks that they wish to make for the record, for the public, as we wrap up not only this meeting, but our work. And I'll look for hands if anybody wants to offer any comments. Bob, yes, sir.
It's been got to hold this down at the
Yeah,
same time.
yeah.
I'm not sure I can do that. So it's been a pleasure to serve on the committee. It's been informative. It's been boring. It's been interesting, all at the same time. I want to say it was a particular pleasure to have Mr. Sarbanes on the committee, and the gentleman to my right who also, was on the county council, Mr. Tillman. I thought that their comments throughout were extremely helpful. From my perspective, in the future, I think the county council, when they appoint other committees, that they should look to retired members because they provide background that I think is helpful that those of us who haven't served on the county council may not understand or be able to use. I want to make, at the beginning, during the first meeting, I made some comments with regard to how I thought the committee should be set up. And I want to make the point that I particularly want to point out or make the statement that Mr. Dunn was appointed chairman of the committee. And I think Mr. Dunn has done an outstanding job as chairman of the committee. I think he's been extremely fair to members of the committee, to the public, to everyone involved. And I just want to make a statement on the record that I applaud Mr. Dunn's actions as committee chairman. I don't think anyone could have been any fairer or done a better job in running the committee. So having made statements at the beginning, I want to make that clear. So.
Yes, sir, thank you. Other thoughts, comments? Michelle, anything?
No, it's been a learning experience. It's been a good experience working with different people from different areas.
Yeah.
I think you might have approached us diplomatically. You've worked very hard to bring this group together and to keep us together, and I thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you, Michelle. So I'll make a few comments, which is that we're a team, and we've been one hell of a team. And everything that I've done here, normally there's 7 people to my left and 7 people to my right, and the energy flows this way and it flows out. And to a person, an outstanding group of people. As a chair, having 15 people, that's a lot. So I thank you for indulging me the occasional "where are we?" But truly, as Michelle just said, what a disparate group of people, what a great convergence of people. I can look at each and every one of you and recall great comments and great additions to what we did. I echo Bob's thoughts about having Phil and Sharon and Tony and Laura and Paul and this wisdom and Julie and Matt, everybody just made the work that much better. I want to make sure that we state for the record, we are not in any way thinking that we have presented the perfect document or the end-all be-all. We've done our best to go back to what we stated at the beginning, which was to do the best we could to provide the opportunity for good governance, to have a space to live and breathe within the charter and within Wicomico County. And to that end, I think we certainly did that. And so I also want to echo and thank. It's quite impossible to tell you how invaluable Bob has been as the vice chair. His wisdom, the phone calls every time we went back and forth privately, during off hours, he was spot on with everything that he said, and having him normally here to my left the entire time has been invaluable. I would also encourage not only that we have ex-council members, but to have a person with a legal background as a member of this committee has proven to be invaluable. Of course, we have Paul Wilbur, one of the better legal minds I've ever come across here. And then lastly, Laura, it's just extraordinary what you do every week, not only for us. Just to let everybody know, the last 2 days, she's been going back and forth to Mako in Cambridge. She had a council meeting 2 days ago. She's got compensation and review. She and Lynn do an extraordinary job. And Laura, on behalf of the committee, I just can't thank you enough for everything. So thank you so much. Okay, and with that, there are no other comment. Laura, yes, please.
So my question is to the committee, once the document is formally presented, do you want me to post it on the website, number one?
Yes.
Once it's formally presented to the county council, yes, absolutely.
Okay. And then just to let everyone know, the last set of minutes, I'll email out to everyone.
Okay.
And then if you can just respond individually to me to let me know if you accept them.
Great. Yes, Julie.
Could we, the final thing when it goes in the packet,
Final.
not the final hour presentation I'd like to have a copy of it at that point of what they're going to see. Just
Yeah, I can email that out to
Absolutely.
everyone.
And again, to reiterate, we present on December the 21st. You'll get invitations again. As many people as can make it. I would love, again, don't leave me, Bob and myself up there. We would love to have the heft and might of this committee and every individual in this committee who can make it in the room with us, because by no means is what we're presenting. We're just presenting it, but we're presenting it on behalf of everyone in this room, and as many as can be there, that would be great. Yes, sir, Paul.
I might make a comment, Laura, you tell me what you think, that even after you present, it could be that as the council has work sessions, they might like to hear from, a representative at least of this group.
Correct.
With how did you arrive at your...
Is the answer to that question, we have no idea? Is that like pleading the fifth every time they ask? We don't know. We can't. We did that back in April.
Temporary amnesia.
I'm kidding. We will make ourselves collectively available, and Laura will do the best she can to, hey, there's going to be a heads up. They'd like to really explore Section 402. Where was your thought process? And we'll certainly do the best we can. With that,
I hope that's what is able to be done, because I think the person who made the motion, or the person who made the motion in a second, should be given an opportunity to be present to be able to answer the questions, because they're probably the best person to address it.
Yeah. by no means do Bob and I represent all the knowledge. We'll do the best we can under the circumstances. With that, happy holidays to everybody. Thank you for the last however many months this has been, and we'll see you in a few weeks. Okay, we're adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
We are adjourned.
We are adjourned.
You know how I am.